Welcome everybody. We have a great video for you today. In the golf world, there was some stunning news about the St. Augustine location for the World Golf Hall of Fame closing down and moving everything back to where it all started in Pinehurst, North Carolina. We'll discuss everything there is to know about this, as well as a preview of the upcoming NFL and Basketball Hall of Fame ceremonies that are just around the corner. Finally, we'll finish with a recap of the MLB Hall of Fame, who just enshrined one of the biggest superstars of the 21st century. So stay tuned for all of the latest about the world's greatest. So why is the World Golf Hall of Fame moving back to Pinehurst? Even though the move back to Pinehurst may come as a surprise to some, people who've been paying attention likely knew something was coming. The annual visitors for the World Golf Village peaked at a respectable 250,000 attendees, but has since dropped to a staggering low of just 65,000 annual visitors. Although the pandemic has played a role in the abysmal attendance, the steady decline has been part of an ongoing trend, and it isn't just a COVID outlier. Part of the reason for this move is to combine both the PGA-affiliated World Golf Hall of Fame with the USGA, which many people don't know, but the PGA and USGA are completely separate organizations. In moving to Pinehurst, the Hall of Fame will be set up at a new facility dubbed Golf House Pinehurst, created and run by the USGA. USGA CEO Mike Wan made it clear about the lofty ambitions for the Golf Hall of Fame to be on par with the Baseball Hall of Fame in Cooperstown or the NFL Hall of Fame in Canton, but were unable to do so with its current iteration in Florida. They feel the move back to Pinehurst will give their Hall of Fame the credibility it deserves, and Wan clarified this when he said, "There's no better connection to golf's past, present, and future than Pinehurst, and no organization that works harder than the USGA to preserve the history of this great game." The belief is that part of the issue with the Hall of Fame's waning popularity is that golf history is divided amongst multiple organizations, but the goal is to create a sense of wholeness in golf history, with both major organizations working together to create a comprehensive Hall of Fame campus. Okay, so what exactly is Golf House Pinehurst? Golf House Pinehurst is going to be an interactive fan experience added onto the Pinehurst Resort that will be very similar to a Hall of Fame in its own right. The campus will be centered around an equipment testing facility where visitors will likely be able to get their hands on some of the latest innovations in sporting equipment. There's also going to be a golf museum on site and an extensive library filled with all the best golfing literature the world has to offer. All this makes the introduction of the Hall of Fame an obvious fit to the facility, since Golf House Pinehurst is already designed to attract fans independently of the Hall of Fame. Not to mention the Pinehurst Resort attracts almost 20 times more visitors already. The operations will be split between both organizations, with the USGA handling all of the day-to-day operations at Pinehurst, but the PGA handling the selection process and organizing the annual ceremonies. The USGA recently broke ground on the new facility 2 years after the Moore County Commission unanimously agreed to an $18 million grant for the facilities, including tax breaks, that could end up costing the country $25 million. In return, the USGA agreed to a laundry list of demands by the county, including an agreement to invest $5 million in Moore County, construct at least 2 buildings, employ no less than 50 people, hold 1 men's championship every 5 years and 1 women's championship every 10. The opening of the facility is expected to be at the end of 2024 and will coincide with the next scheduled Hall of Fame induction ceremony. Are there any other Hall of Fame events upcoming? Yes, we are actually right in the beginning of the Hall of Fame season, with the Baseball Hall of Fame just taking place this past weekend. The Pro Football Hall of Fame is right around the corner in August, with NFL training camps just getting underway. Not to mention, the Basketball Hall of Fame is just a few short weeks after that. The World Golf Association and USGA would be wise to take notes from the NFL about their own Hall of Fame experience. Every single year, the NFL hosts something called the Enshrinement Weekend, which is essentially a full-service fan experience for that year's ceremonies. With packages, fans gain access to VIP parties, autograph and meet-and-greet sessions, admission to the Hall of Fame, and numerous events with athletes and sports media members who will be covering the ceremony. The week is obviously capped off with the enshrinement ceremonies. Oh, and also the Hall of Fame game, which is the first preseason game that kicks off the NFL season. Granted, it's essentially a glorified college game with few stars even suiting up for it, but that doesn't stop every single football fan from getting irrationally excited over it, even if it's just for the first 20 minutes before they go back to drinking. But regardless, it's still a fantastic, all-inclusive experience that generates a lot of buzz for the league on a yearly basis. What can we expect from the rest of the year's Hall of Fame events? Enshrinement Week 2022 runs from August 4th to August 7th and will feature a Hall of Fame game between the Jacksonville Jaguars and the Las Vegas Raiders, with all the previously mentioned packages and events leading up to it. The Hall of Fame ceremony will honor Tony Boselli Urselli of the Jacksonville Jaguars, Cliff Branch of the Oakland and Los Angeles Raiders, Roy Butler of the Green Bay Packers, Sam Mills of the New Orleans Saints, Richard Seymour of the New England Patriots, Coach Dick Vermeil, and official Art McNally. This is one of the few years that there isn't a first-ballot Hall of Famer on the list, which will likely cause younger audiences to not tune in, but it's a no less impressive cast of characters who've been ambassadors of football excellence for over half a century. A few weeks later, in the beginning of September, the 2022 Naismith Basketball Hall of Fame ceremony will be held in stark contrast to all other Hall of Fames of 2022, where the NFL and MLB mostly honor lesser-known players who've been eligible for decades. Basketball's ceremony has a star-studded cast headlined by San Antonio Spurs and Argentinian stars Manu Ginobili and Tim Hardaway. Also honored will be longtime coach George Karl, Showtime Laker Michael Cooper, and WNBA's Swin Cash. The ceremony will be held at the Naismith Hall of Fame in Springfield, Massachusetts on September 9th. So who's the superstar getting honored at the MLB Hall of Fame? The 2022 Baseball Hall of Fame just happened this past Sunday, and a number of incredible athletes were honored, but none bigger than Boston Red Sox legend David Ortiz, aka Big Pappy. During his time in the majors, Ortiz became one of the most well-liked superstars around the league as a whole. Okay, maybe not New York, but just about everywhere else. Ortiz had a magnetic personality and a natural ability to put smiles on people's faces. When you talk about Big Pappy, it's just so easy to ramble about how great of a person he is and everything he's done for his local community and his home country of the Dominican Republic that you forget he is truly one of the greatest talents to ever step into the baseball diamond. Before he came to Boston, people truly believed, I'm talking about fully rational adult human beings legitimately believed, that the Boston Red Sox were cursed after selling, yes, selling, not trading, Babe Ruth to the New York Yankees. The Sox had won 5 championships in 15 years, including the first ever MLB championship in 1903. Then, after selling Ruth in 1919, the team went on a historic near-century-long drought, where the rival Yankees went on to win an insane 26 world titles to their 0. Then in 2004, something magical happened when the two teams squared off in the playoffs. Pappy, who was not yet a household name, took the plate with the game tied in the final inning. The Red Sox just a few outs away from getting eliminated in an embarrassing 4-0 sweep against their rivals. Ortiz was facing one of the greatest pitchers of all time, Mariano Rivera, trying to close out the series, and he ended up hitting a walk-off home run. This gave the Sox their first win of the series and the momentum that catapulted them to winning 4 straight against the Yankees, and then eventually their first World Series title in 86 years. It's a moment baseball fans will never forget, and now baseball has immortalized him. So what do you think? Were there any snubs for any of the Hall of Fame ceremonies this year? Is the World Golf Foundation making a mistake abandoning their property in Florida? Drop a comment and let us know how you feel about all this and more.